All right, Steve, I think we'll probably kick it off.
Let's do it. Awesome. Well, welcome. Most of you I know, maybe two-thirds of the attendees are Quiver users, so that's great. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Steve Drost, one of the founders of Quiver. Ashley, who's muted and with her camera off, she's also the one that's been answering your support tickets and basically doing everything for us. She's amazing, as you guys know. Quiver, our mission is very simple. We want to be the CRM for financial advisors that do real planning. For those of you that don't know anything about my history, I am an advisor. I'm a CFP, I'm a CFA. I've practiced for 10, 11, 12 years. And when I launched my firm 4 years ago, I wanted a solution that would help me actually serve my clients as efficiently as I could without that quality of service dropping even an inch. And why are we chatting with GReminders today? Because, in my opinion, meetings are probably the most important thing we do. For those of you familiar with Quiver, right, we've got the meeting module. The meeting module is how we prepare for meetings, hold meetings, follow up for meetings, and monitor clients between meetings. And when you're talking about all of this important data from meetings, including meeting prep and meeting notes, partnering with companies like GReminders to allow you to save time is incredibly valuable. So today we're going to focus mainly on the meeting module, but more importantly so, how a company like GReminders can utilize the data inside of Quiver to help you expedite that prep process and then also expedite the follow-up process while also making sure nothing falls through the cracks.
Awesome, Steve. Thank you for that. Hi, guys. I'm Arnold Shu. I'm the founder and CEO of GReminders. It's good to be here. We've had integrations with Salesforce. Salesforce is a large beast, and Quiver has tamed that beast. So we're super excited to have a direct integration that has a lot of specific integrations specific to Quiver around meeting modules and so on and so forth. So let me start by talking a little bit about what is GReminders and why we exist. We are really the only AI-powered end-to-end meeting management platform built for financial advisors. And so let me talk a little bit about what that means. So before I do that, we are deeply committed to wealth management and the financial advisory space. So these are just sort of some recent articles, but really we live and breathe wealth management, and that's really all we do and focus on. We've been approved with about 70% of all the broker dealers out there, so that means we've gone through compliance review and governance and so on and so forth. So you're sort of in good hands, so to speak. We focus a lot on automations, integrations, and AI, and that's really how we achieve what we set out to do, which is essentially allow you to scale your practice without adding additional costs, right? And so as you see AI eating the world, if you are leveraging that appropriately, you're going to get a lot of benefit from that. So let's try to quantify that just a little bit here. So that, if Kitz's did a survey about a year and a half ago that analyzed where advisors spend their time, right? So for example, 4 hours in meeting prep, right? This is per client per year. 4 hours in meeting prep, 4.5 hours in client meetings, 3 hours in meeting follow-up, and so on and so forth. These are really the 4 categories that we affect: meeting prep, meeting follow-up, client check-ins, and client correspondence. And when we ran a survey, when we used that as a backdrop, we saw about a 45% reduction in time. And if you do that at scale, you really get significant benefit here. So a typical advisor will run typically 100 clients. Some people may have more, some people might have less. If you do the math here, you're getting 3 to 4 months of time back. And so now imagine you're putting that towards revenue generating activities or effectively living sort of a better life. All right. So we think of, we talked about sort of end-to-end meeting management, and we think of everything through the lens of a meeting lifecycle, right? And so let me just talk about what that means. Steve talked about meetings and meeting modules and so forth. Meetings are a big part of your client engagement process, right? So because we're connected with Quiver, we would reach into Quiver, know what the cadence is that you have with your customers, right? So you meet with them once a year, twice a year. that sort of thing. We understand that. We would automatically send out notifications to them to get them to book a meeting with you. We have an enterprise class scheduling product that allows customers to basically self-select date and time based on your availability. There's all kinds of knobs and dials all over the place that you can control your time. We would then kick off workflows and automations within Quivr. We also will send out notifications to the client to actually make sure that they show up when they're supposed to show up. Before the meeting, we will send you, the advisor, a pre-meeting brief. These are all aggregating all the notes, all the activities, all the opportunities, all the things that you store within Quivr. We'll put that in a nice tight package for you so that you're better prepared for the meeting. When you're in meeting, we have a note taker product that is actually, in fact, joined to this webinar here. It records, transcribes, summarizes, creates action items, looks for things like life events, suggests opportunities so you can track those. You can track your AUM and KPI and metrics. And then you could push all that stuff back into Quivr, which is your system of record. So again, kind of end to end. And if you look at the market out there, right? If you look at the market, you have a bunch of different solutions out there. You have a booking or scheduling product that you might be familiar with. You have middleware products like Zapier, for example. You might have SMS or email products. You have note taker products. There are a bunch in the market. You know, some are dictation products, some are new school AI products. And again, these are a lot of point solutions in the market. In our view, a smaller tech stack, Quivr, and a few other products have significantly less moving parts if you have less things in the tech stack, right? It's just sort of inherently, that's an inherent part of having essentially less moving parts. Okay. So before we show up, typically it looks something like this. You have data sort of moving in different directions from different products, and after that, it effectively sort of looks more like this with a much more simpler connection points. All right. We are generally a background product, and we try to work with all the systems that you are using today, right? So change management is very low. So we try to work with your CRMs, we try to work with your calendar products, we try to work with your virtual products, we try to work with the compliance products, your VoIP systems, and so on and so forth. We believe very deeply in integrations. And so if you look at, if you're familiar with Ezra Group, for example, they had scored us almost a sort of a near perfect score with regard to integrations. And I will say integrations are not built equally, right? And so, if you look at a product, it's not just a checkbox integration. There's a gradient for the level of integration, and hopefully we'll kind of demonstrate that here with Quivr today. So we talked about the meeting lifecycle. Here's an example of us putting annual reviews on autopilot. So again, because we're hooked up to Quivr, we would know when you would need to meet with the client next. We can essentially automatically send out emails or SMSs to get your client to book with you. And you can see here, hey, Tom, it's time for your annual review. They click on the link, and it would allow them to schedule. We'll know when they clicked, and so we'll stop sending out this notification once that has happened, right? So it kind of takes a lot of that manual process that you're doing today off of your plate. We have an enterprise class scheduling product, and you can basically they can effectively self-select. Again, there's all kinds of sort of knobs and dials around different event types, availability, working hours, lots of sort of different options to control how you make yourself available, how many reviews you want to do per day. If you have teams like multiple advisors that need to connect and things of that nature. And that manifests itself essentially in the meeting module here.
Yep. So what will happen is once that email or text gets sent out and that client schedules, GReminders will look at Quivr, and when when you made the comment about not all integrations are made equal, I may have smiled those of you that know me, I'm not single sign-on to me is not an integration. What does that do for me? I actually want technology that is making changes in the varying systems to actually allow for the progress. So what we're looking at right now is the meeting module, right? This is where we're preparing for the meetings, holding meetings, following up on meetings, and monitoring the clients between meetings. Well, what GReminders is doing is it's going to look at that household. So, hey, Halperts, have you scheduled? Is there a meeting module already open? If there is a meeting module open, GReminders knows that's my meeting. It's automatically going to link, and it's going to know that any activity, any meeting notes, any pre-meeting brief, it's now going to play with that specific meeting. So it is this meeting, right? In this situation, it's the spring review meeting. Or if a meeting module is not created, it's going to create that for you. So it's going to know. So we're not going to have that duplicative meeting situation where right, a lot of people that have used Quivr on this call with the Calendly integration, at times it'll create those, the second issues, or can I have the meeting module created automatically? GReminders has figured it out, so we don't have to worry about that.
You can also embed these types of things in the website, for example. So, I mean, again, here's just an example of embedding a scheduling link, for example, on a Teams page. You don't have to do this. This is completely optional. But here you can embed scheduling pages for your team, for example, or you can also basically preface your booking links and schedule pages with different types of forms, right? So you can ask questions, and based on the answers, you can route them to different folks within your organization. And so based on those answers, in this case here, it's routing them to a team of advisors that are basically taking new clients. Or if they answer with a certain answer, like they have less than $250,000 in assets, you can route them to a landing page or something like that on your website. So there's different mechanisms to sort of handle different types of meetings and different types of schedules. We also, once meetings are booked, you can kick off different types of workflows or engagements. So we integrate with Precise IP, Nitrogen, and so forth. And so you can kick off essentially workflows and automations once a meeting is booked. We also send out, so once a meeting is booked, because it's on your calendar, and by the way, unlike other scheduling systems, we don't really care where you book the meeting. Like, just put it on your Outlook, totally fine. Put it on Google Calendar, totally fine. Want to use our scheduling? Again, fine. We will still send notifications out to clients, based on what is on your calendar. And these are all flexible, templated. You can really customize this as you see fit. Send out, again, email, SMS, voice type of notifications. People can respond, yes, no. If they tell you a story, we'll forward that to you. And you'll see these sort of confirmation marks in your Outlook or Google Calendar or Quivr Calendar. If you want to move an event, you can simply move it just like you would anything else on your calendar. So we are 100% bidirectional on all these different calendar systems. And you have the option of, if you move it, you can notify the client about that change. And if they can't do that for whatever reason, you can essentially embed a reschedule link, which will automatically allow them to reschedule their calendar on their own without even having to contact you. And again, these are all different sort of knobs and switches that you can modify. All of this stuff is all logged back into Quivr. So anything that we send out to a client will get logged back as a note or a task against the contact or the household. Now, before the meeting, typically have a very short sort of video. You will receive a pre-meeting brief, and this is going to come into your email box. You can also access that within the application itself. And this is pulling all the notes, all the different things that have happened since the last time you met with your client, right? So it's going to better prepare you for the session that in many cases is being done today effectively manually. There's also a ask anything that you can essentially ask using sort of a chatbot type interface if you want to further kind of prepare yourself for the meeting. Okay.
So
And
then
this
how,
is what it,
oh,
yeah, go
oh,
ahead,
sorry.
Steve.
No, I was just going to say, so now that pre-meeting brief, you can, like you were just showing, you can get that in an email, or you can, that'll just go right into the meeting module. It's specifically in that note since last meeting box. So if we look at what you're seeing right now on the screen, it's the meeting agenda, which if you want to populate information in the meeting module about that, do that. The note since last meeting, though, is that big holding tank or that posted note for each client for you to document anything you want. So for example, the Halperts need to sign an IRA application, but they didn't. Well, we have a rule in my firm, 3 tries and you're out. So if I send you 3 reminders to do something and you don't do it, we're not going to follow up for 4th and a 15th time. Rather, in that box, we're going to write in all red letters, Jim needs to sign IRA application, right? So I'm keeping notes about what's going on, and then whatever GReminders gives you for that pre-meeting brief is going to be added to that. So what you would see is this information put directly below that. Now, if we think about it, right, why do you want that information in your CRM? I just got out of Surge. I had 45 meetings in 3 weeks. We prepared for our Surge quite faster than the Kitsis study. I think I wrote it down. It was 13.5 hours for the general public, 7.4 hours per client. For GReminders users, we prepared for all 45 of our meetings in about 10 hours total. And why we were able to do that was we could create a dashboard that showed me every single meeting that I was having during Surge in one column. The second column was the meeting agenda. The third column was then this note since last meeting, which had any internal notes that we had, plus these meeting briefs. So in minutes, me and my admin were able to go through line item by line item and look at every single meeting in one screen and identify, well, what do we need to do to prepare for this meeting? Does this client have something going on? Is there a job change? What needs to happen? Then we created our list of tasks that we needed to complete in advance of Surge, which there were only maybe 10, 12 of them, knocked those out in a couple of hours, and we were ready to go. So that was from a bulk prep perspective. But then when it actually came time to the meeting, because we do our prep well in advance of the meetings, 30 seconds, I'm logging into Quivr, I'm opening up the meeting module, I'm moving it onto that screen, and I'm glancing. I'm seeing everything that is happening with the client. I'm seeing this pre-meeting brief. I'm seeing any notes from anybody on my team. I'm seeing all open activities. I'm seeing everything that has happened with this client in one view. So in 15 or 30 seconds, I'm back up to speed and I'm now ready to have that meeting.
Once you're in the meeting, so we support a variety of different modalities effectively, right? So in-person meetings, you can open up your phone and simply start recording. We support all these different types of virtual web meeting platforms, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WebEx, et cetera, et cetera. We also have direct integration with a variety of voice over IP providers, such as RingCentral, Intel's Zoom Phone, GoToConnect, and so on and so forth. And we keep adding more on a regular basis. And essentially, we sit in the background, right? And so it's your brand. We try to white label this thing as much as possible. The end client knows you, they don't know us. So again, it's your brand, and you put your face on this effectively. After the meeting happens, again, I can show you this. So you'll get a meeting summary that's sent to you, and it's going to be the full summary of everything that you talked about. So it includes, financial data, all of the things that you talked about essentially on the call, nicely summarized. And these can be further customized to suit your specific needs, different section headers and so forth. You also get a full transcript, right? So this is a full transcript of all the things that were said, who said it, when they said it, what they said. If you have additional questions that you didn't get in the summary, you can also ask questions against that particular transcript. So it's going to give you an answer, and it also references the source so that you know that, in fact, this is actually what was said and where it was said, right? So you know that it's essentially, not hallucinating, so to speak. You can then take that summary and you can push this back into Quivr, right? So here's the summary. You can look at it, you can review it, you can make changes if you want to make some adjustments, and you can literally push this essentially back into Quivr directly. Now this goes into the meeting module, and you'll see that effectively, directly there. You can also have it will also recommend to you a client-facing follow-up email, right? So if you want to follow up, typically you do a follow-up with your clients. It will recommend a follow-up email based on the contents of the call. You can further customize these, again, to suit your specific style and layout for those. So fully customizable, sort of fully flexible. You can copy that to your clipboard and then essentially push that directly to put it in Outlook. And in fact, last week we launched where you can actually send this directly from within the app. Additionally, we also recommend things like follow-up, like action items, right? So different people committed to doing certain things. You can, these are the action items that were pulled out of the call. You can assign it due dates and assign it to members of your team. And then again, push these back into Quivr, right? So you're giving them due dates here, and then pushing all this stuff back into Quivr. Right, and you see those, and those will be logged against the contact as well as the household within Quivr.
It looks like we do have a question. I don't know if we want to answer that now or wait.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Garrett Harper is asking, does the text call feature have to run through an integrated phone provider, or does GReminder have an internal system for this?
We have an internal system. So the way it works is we have our own numbers that it would send from, or you can get a dedicated number in your area code that is essentially dedicated to you, and all of those messages will be sent from that number. Any phone calls made to that number will forward directly to your office line. All of the outbound SMSs as well as inbound SMSs also get journaled back to your email box on a weekly basis. So typically your journaling and archiving vendors like Smarsh and Global Relay and so on and so forth are already journaling your mailbox. And so therefore, that is essentially how we get compliance around that.
Perfect. Nice. Yeah, this is cool too. I like this. You were showing on the previous video of how that information comes back into Quivr. And right, we're back in the meeting module now where it's showing you all of the meeting information. So if this wasn't a screenshot and we wanted to scroll up about another inch or so, or maybe we can even see it right there, that number 1, it will be important. Like that's where that pre-meeting brief lives. So we're in the exact same spot. But now what we've done is by pushing that button, we brought that information full circle. So Quivr is your source of truth. The review summary, right? Those meeting notes are getting pushed right back into the meeting module, and right, it knows which one it is a part of upon scheduling, right? GReminders is identifying, do I need to make a meeting module or do I already have one that exists? So that connection is already live, and then right, you can push any tasks that you want directly from that. So what we now have is this complete full circle of meeting prep, information during the meeting, and now meeting follow-up that is live, right? It's inside of the system. So if you want to take it one step further on your meeting prep, something that I didn't mention, what we looked at when I was doing my meeting prep for Surge, was we also look at the last meeting for every client. And why am I doing that? Because I want to see this meeting summary here. So I'm looking at what did we talk about at the last meeting for every client, which you can do quite quickly in one screen, right, by creating that dashboard, and then we're moving forward. So we're seeing that complete picture. Also, by getting the notes back inside of Quivr, you're now strengthening the AI capabilities of GReminders because you're creating a better library, right? LLMs and libraries. Like the AI tool is only as good as the information that you're feeding it. Well, Quivr is your source of truth. Quivr has significantly more data in it than I can't say any CRM because that might not be right, but out of the box, right, we have an incredible amount of financial planning and investment management information inside of that system. So we're just feeding GReminders now even more information. So in 6 months or in a year, when you meet with this client, it's not ridiculous to think that those pre-meeting briefs are just going to get better and better and better, and your prep should continue to get more efficient.
Thank you. You can customize essentially all of the templates, summary templates, e-meeting follow-up templates, pre-meeting brief templates. So everything effectively can be customized to suit your specific layout, style, tone, if you're looking for sentiment, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of sort of, customization and dials, and our onboarding team, I should say, will help you through this process. We tend to, once the system is set up, it effectively just works, but there is a setup and configuration process. Again, because these things are deeply integrated, lots of different sort of nuance around fields, and Quivr has done a great job of essentially kind of turnkeying a lot of this. But there's still, sort of setup and configuration here, but we'll help you through all these mechanisms, but a lot of flexibility and customizations here.
I have to comment that those templates, by the way, are when I was testing GReminders personally, I was able to get my meeting summary template, which you guys had no idea what that was, in like an hour. I was able to get mine built in basically perfectly, which was pretty cool.
Nice. We also, because if you do have note taker join your calls, it knows that the call happened, and it will auto-complete your meetings as well. And so you get metrics and KPIs out of those types of things, which can help you effectively, grow your practice. If you cannot manage what you cannot measure, sort of thing. So again, hopefully, we've demonstrated that using all these different systems and sort of different pillars around the meeting lifecycle, that you can dramatically improve your efficiency here. And I think if you look at what is happening in general, again, automations, AI is making everybody in every industry more effective. And so I think leveraging that is a really good time to take a look at tools like this. This is just a quick kind of recap of some of the different Quivr specific integrations that we've done. And I totally agree with Steve what he said earlier. If you look at some integrations out there, it starts with like single sign-on, but a lot of them end there. And so not only do we believe in deep hand-in-glove integrations, but we continue to build out stuff over time, right? So it doesn't stop here. We intend to continue to work through additional integration points, where they make sense and where our customers lead us. So we're very sort of much like Quivr, we're very much a customer-led sort of organization. Just to give you a sense about pricing from our standpoint, again, what the size of sort of the bread box is, we're approximately about $33 per user per month, with a 3-user minimum, effectively at $100 or $99 per user for 3 users, sorry, per month. And note taker is sort of billed separately. So for 99, 3 users, you effectively get everything except for note taker. Note taker is sort of billed separately. So I will stop there, and we can open it up for Q&A, unless Steve, you have some sort of closing remarks.
No, we had one question come in from a Quivr user, and it was of all of the communication pieces sent out from GReminders, text messages, pre-meeting brief, emails, etc., will they show up in the activity timeline within the respective households? The activity timeline is just a chronological order or chronological list of everything that's ever happened with a contact inside of Quivr or a household inside of Quivr. Doesn't matter if it's, for example, if I use Zoom phone, every text message, every phone call, everything is going to hit their tasks, email, meetings, you name it. Can you, I can't talk on the text messages because I'm not quite confident how that works. Will those show up in the timeline?
Yes, so everything is journaled back into Quivr, right? So here, for example, so this is your text message.
Perfect.
This is all logged back into Quivr, right? So everything that we do is logged back into Quivr. GReminders is not a system of record. We are generally a transitory system, and we want to push that to your system of record. In your case, it's Quivr.
And are the pre-meeting briefs getting pushed there too?
They are.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, everything is being pushed there. And I'll 100% echo what Steve said earlier, which is if you're using systems like this, your data inside the CRM will get better. So the output will improve itself organically.
Yeah, those pre-meeting briefs are they're cool.
Any other questions?
Looks like we don't have any more questions right now.
Okay, super. If you have any, if you want to take a look at GReminders, please go to our website, greminders.com. You can get a demo or also start a trial. We'd be more than happy to speak with you. And same goes for Quivr.
And
Absolutely.
we'll send a follow-up email after this meeting is over, after this webinar is over, with a link to go back and rewatch it if you'd like, just in case you have any other questions or anything else that came up.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for attending. Really appreciate you spending the time with us.